Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 2 of The Liberation Lens with David Alexander. I am David Alexander, and I'm so excited that you're here. Listen, we're doing these series of short podcast videos to give you an orientation to what I'm calling the Liberation Lens, 8 pillars of consciousness and ways of viewing the world and how we embody liberation theology on a personal, practical level. My book, Freedom from Discord, The Promise of New Thought Liberation Theology, is kind of the foundation of my work. And the Liberation Lens is not a book. Maybe it's one coming, but it's a way of putting kind of that into practical application. So here we are, episode 2. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you to all of my subscribers, over 200 now. Thank you especially to my paid subscribers. Thank you so much for really sharing a portion of your resource. It's only $80 for the year. And so that really allows me to dedicate some time to this and grow the audience. And I really appreciate each and every one of you, whether you're a paid subscriber or not. I appreciate your likes and shares and your comments. I'm just starting here in the Substack world, and I think it's going well so far. So thank you so much for being a part of that. It's deeply appreciated. All right. Well, as we explored in episode 1, 8 pillars of the Liberation Lens as the foundational truth that helps us see through the lens of our personal and collective liberation. Okay. The first pillar, consciousness is everything. Really the foundation. We can't get anywhere without that. Consciousness is everything. And so you can catch up to that episode in the blog below. Click the link and watch that one. I think it's under 10 minutes long. And so now let's dive into the second one. The second pillar, we build upon the first, consciousness is everything. The second pillar is everyone is on the path. Everyone is on the path. Yes, everyone. Everyone, even them. Every single one of us. Even the people we don't agree with, even the people we think are messing everything up, even the people we think have hurt us or harmed us or are hurting and harming people right now. Everyone is on the path. The heart of true inclusivity is that it includes all, not just the parts of life that we like, not just the people that we agree with, not just those who seem to be on the right side of history in critical times, but it's all of that, all of us, everyone. The teacher Ernest Holmes said that was famous for saying a phrase that his wife didn't particularly care for. And it was this: when the pile is complete, we'll all be in it. When the pile is complete, we'll all be in it. Which seems to me to denote that he understood inclusivity, right? He understood that everyone is on the path. If the first pillar is consciousness is everything, and if that's true, then everything is an expression of some level of consciousness. That means everyone's on their own journey of awakening, of discovery, of expression. Some of us may be more aware than others, seem more enlightened or quote unquote further along on the path. Others may appear to be utterly unaware or even lost. But no matter what it looks like, the truth remains, everyone is on the path. Some of us look like we're ahead. Some of us look like we're behind. Spiritual teacher Walter Starkey, great book, It's All God, among others that he wrote. There's Walter right there. He says in this book, it's a great section he uses this term infinite inclusivity, which I love. And he says, inclusivity sounds like one of those simple words we think we understand and nod at. But once the truth is known, inclusivity brings on a revolution in consciousness that will transform the world in unimaginable ways, and us as we currently conceive of ourselves. Right? So understanding that everyone and everything is included on the path, it's not just a comforting belief, it's a revolutionary shift in perspective. Right? It liberates us from the need to judge others for where they are and why they're there. It liberates us from the need to judge ourselves, where we are and why we're there, or where we're not and where we think we ought to be. Get rid of all that, because comparison is a trap. Right? If we spend our time measuring our progress against others, we'll never walk our own path. Again, you may be ahead of others, you may be behind others, you may be ahead of where you think you want to be or need to be, you may be behind where you think you want to be or need to be. But regardless of our judgments and perceptions about all of that, everyone is on the path. And so our job is to keep walking. Thich Nhat Hanh says it this way. He says, when we free ourselves from the idea of separateness, we have compassion, we have understanding, and we have the energy to help. When we free ourselves from the idea of separateness, right? And separateness is, you're over there and I'm over here and that's better and this is worse. And they're doing a good job. They're not doing a good job, right? They're part of the good people. They're part of the bad people, right? No, it's just everyone's on the path. We're all in different places. And all of it is therefore a reflection of ourself, because consciousness is all that there is, shining back at us, that allows us to gain insight and curiosity and wisdom into why that part is showing up the way that it is. Right? How does that inform the way we want to show up, the way we want to show up? And so we go. And so it brings us to the second part of this podcast, and this kind of in two parts. That is the second principle, right? Or the second pillar. Everyone's on the path. Let me know if you have questions, thoughts about that. I'd love to hear them in the chat. And we're about 8 minutes in, so I can see that when I do these pillars, it's going to be about 10 minutes. I don't want to take up too much more of your time than that. But I am going to spend a little bit more time today talking about now, how do we walk this path in this current atmosphere we're in, which is the early part of 2025, and wrestling with the new president's administration and the chaos and the confusion and the anxiety that is happening around all of that. How do we walk that path with less judgment and enough engagement to make a difference, and all of those things? Because the world seems overwhelming right now. I don't know about you, but it seems overwhelming to me. Many of us are asking, how do I stay engaged without burning out? How do I fight injustice while protecting my peace? Yeah. And so I have some simple ideas about how to do that. Really 4 things that would be a guide for us for walking the path. So pillar 2 is everyone's on the path. These next 4 things are, here's how we can walk the path together over the next, months, years ahead to get through these challenging times. 4 simple things. 1, educate. 2, activate. 3, rest. And 4, recalibrate. Educate, activate, rest, recalibrate. Say it with me. Educate, activate, rest, recalibrate. I want it to be so simple that you can carry that away and remember that, right? Educate, activate, rest, and recalibrate. Educate. Knowledge is power. right? In times of upheaval, uh, understanding what is happening is the first step to staying grounded, not just being, whipped around by the chaos and whipped around by the news and whipped around by the confusion, but actually getting grounded in what is actually happening here. Do we understand it contextually, historically? It can be tempting to want to turn off the news and disengage and just be overwhelmed. And so my suggestion, my recommendation to you, to me, to all of us, because I'm practicing this too, is to digest less of the TV news media and to read more, because reading engages our imagination and it calibrates differently in the body and in the mind. And so if you've got a favorite show, I love Joy Reid, I love Rachel Maddow, but I'm consuming less of that, and all the other shows that come on before and after and all that sort of thing, right? So if you have your favorites, fine, but consume less of it. Reduce the TV noise consumption, and replace it with news consumption that is active and thoughtful, that engages you at a different level. Reading is a really good way of doing that. Substack, this space, is a great place to do that. And there's some wonderful voices on here. Some of my favorite, I'll put them in the link below, but Robert Reich, Tom Hartman, Heather Cox Richardson, maybe you're already following some of these. And there are others. So find whose voice works for you in regards to news and historical understanding of where we are. It's important to continue to be informed and not just check out, but also balance our sort of political and historical awareness with spiritual grounding. You might consider my friends Michelle Wadley, Daryl Jones, and Soul Gym podcast, other spiritual teachers that are on here to give you some spiritual inspiration as well. And overall, educating ourselves, understanding the bigger picture historically, politically, spiritually, as we expand our container of knowledge, our container, our consciousness, then we expand the space that can absorb the chaos that is coming at us, right? Because we can understand it contextually, right? 2, activate. Awareness is not enough. I mean, I know, Ernest Holmes says awareness is curative, and I believe that, but it's curative because it moves us. When we know better, we do better, right? That's why awareness is curative. When we know better, we do better. So activate yourself in this time. Don't become passive. Don't check out, but activate yourself in ways that you can make a difference. Understand the difference between what concerns you and what you have control or influence over. There's a paradigm and a model with that comes from my friend Cindy Wigglesworth in Houston, and I'm going to bring her on here to talk about that in a future episode. But right, concern yourself with where you can make an impact, where you have control and influence, right? And so there's a number of ways you can do that. What's one thing, just ask yourself on a daily basis, what's one thing I can do today or this week to make a difference? Can I engage with my elected representatives? There's organizations and websites like 5calls.org that make it really easy. Figure out the issues that you care about, call your representatives, leave messages. Those really do make a difference. We're already seeing in the early days of this new administration the ways in which pushback and resistance is making a difference. They're throwing a lot at us, and they're hoping to overwhelm us. And places that are getting pushback, they're pulling back, right? And they're hoping that they create enough noise that then we don't see something else. So it's important to pay attention and to be active. Participate in movements for nonviolence and justice. Find out ways to show up locally and make a difference. So educate yourself, activate, and then rest. Rest. I can't emphasize it enough, right? Deep sleep, restful restoration. It's how our body heals. It's how our cells heal and rejuvenate themselves. Get the rest that you need and take all the time that you need to do it, right? Sign up for a massage package or, Groupon. Remember Groupon? Groupon's still around. Somebody reminded me, they were telling me about the salt bath float thing that they were doing. And I love those. And they were like, oh yeah, I got this package for X amount of dollars at three sessions, and got it on Groupon. And just this light bulb went off. I went, I used to get things from Groupon all the time. Completely forgot about it. This part of our podcast brought to you by Groupon. Great. You do whatever you got to do to incorporate rest as a ritual as often as possible. Take breaks from social media, and get good quality sleep. Make the changes you need to make that happen. Eating healthy, etc. Rest. My brother Christian A. Smith, who just spoke at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary here in Atlanta, gave a whole sermon that was basically on, and I will give you rest. I will restore you. And it's a very powerful sermon. I'm going to put the link in the blog below so that if you are inspired and want to watch that, you can. Okay, that's 3. I told you I was going to be quick about this. We're going to wrap it up now. Educate, activate, rest, and recalibrate. And I need you to really lean in on this one. Recalibrate. After rest, we must reconnect. Despite this being the most digital age of being connected socially as we are here, listening to podcasts and online and all of that, we as a society are lonelier than we have ever been. We are living in what in the Atlantic magazine right now is calling the antisocial century. The antisocial century. This epidemic of loneliness. I talked in my book about the research from Robert Putnam, Bowling Alone, a book entitled Bowling Alone 20 years ago now. Still very relevant research and information. And this article in here kind of follows up on some of that and modernizes it and talks about the amount of time that we're spending, even though we're engaging maybe online with other people, but we're doing it alone or staying home. I just saw something online. It was talking about, how 2 malls are closing every week across America. Macy's just shuttered a bunch of another set of stores, including the very historic one in Philadelphia. Nightclubs are closing. Nightclubs. Like, I think across the nation, it's some crazy statistic that I just heard. Like 45 nightclubs a week are closing because people aren't going out. And so the 4th principle here, or 4th, whatever I would call them principles, but just the 4 invitations that I'm making to you to how to navigate and walk these times: educate, activate, rest, recalibrate, get connected in community. That's how we recalibrate. We are social beings. We are designed to connect with each other. Don't just consume this content. Write a comment so that I know you're there, and I write a comment back, and we create a dialogue, right? Get connected, recalibrate, find your people, whether that's a church or a community group or a book club or a bowling league or pickleball, whatever it is. Recalibrate socially in the world. Engage in real life connections, meeting with friends for coffee, and all of those things. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. This article in the Atlantic is really powerful, by the way, and will help inspire you to do something about it. So that's it, right? Educate, activate, rest, and recalibrate. I think that's how we walk this path together. When we stop wasting energy on judgment and comparison and resentment, we recognize that our own journey is enough. We learn to navigate our chaotic times with wisdom and action and rest and community. Know that you are on the path. We are all on the path. Walk your portion with courage, with clarity, and with love. And let's keep connecting. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you like and share and subscribe as you are able. Please help me grow this platform so that we can reach more people. and continue to walk together. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings.